take one.
All right.
3, 2, 1, action.
Debbie, we're starting.
You know, when we were little, did you ever think we'd get so old they wanted to record stuff so when we're dead they can play it at our funeral? Hi, we're still dead.
We always thought we were pretty boring back then.
Yeah. Actually, we probably still are. We used to say, we always told everybody to say, how long you know Mo? I'd say since we were 2. And that's because we both moved into the neighborhood, but that probably is not true, do you think?
We didn't interact much when we were 2.
Well, there was somebody still in my diapers, I think, or something. I always suspected that guy up the street. So it's probably when?
It was probably more like 4 or 5 years old, because we were in separate kindergartens. I think we went to the same building, but maybe you went afternoons and I went mornings or something like that.
Or were there 2 classes there?
I had Mrs. Latari.
I had a lady I don't remember the name of. My highlight there was making butter. You remember we churned butter and then put it on crackers.
Yeah.
You must be on bed was feeding us at home or something.
But it tasted great back then.
It was good. They made us little kids just work like heck making that stuff.
But you know, we always talk about those early years like that. But it's almost like I don't remember our parents interacting much at that time.
No, I don't.
So it's like my mom just sent me down the street to play with you and didn't know if your
just go play with strangers.
parents were axe murderers or something.
Well, and you know, we must have really enjoyed playing together because we had the walk of death with the dogs. Mm-hmm. Flair, the Bones' dog.
Over the years, several different dogs were in our way trying to get back and forth.
People probably don't believe that everybody let dogs run free. There weren't fences, you know, just neighborhood dogs. You knew who everybody's dog was, and they'd be out there going crazy.
And you're right, we'd go through backyards and stuff to get around them.
We probably started really messing around until 1st grade, when we both noticed we had palsy in our arm from being in Miss Campbell's class. That 1st grade teacher we had, you know, you think, be kind to little kids. She'd just go up and she'd grab kids, no matter what it was the correction, and she'd just shake them violently. You remember? Yours
might have been the arm. Mine was my ear. Because I'll tell this story.
Yeah, tell them about that. We're dead and you're talking in the background.
Yeah. So if you're watching this someday and I'm dead, I was an okay guy. But Mrs. Campbell, Greg just talked about, we were in the same 1st grade class. This will probably lead to a bunch of different stories.
Well, I got one about how my parents hated me.
But anyway, she passed around the readers one day. And anyone from our era would remember this. The Dick and Jane and Spot, those readers. There was a light blue one. It was the first one we got. It was like See Spot Run. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was very bashful and shy back then, and I rarely raised my hand or spoke in class, but I worked up the nerve to raise my hand this one time. My parents were educators. They were both teachers in Raytown, and Joe Herndon was the school superintendent back then, and so he knew, you know, my mom and dad worked for him. And they had a good relationship and stuff, so he actually gave our family one of those readers, the Dick and Jane readers. And so I worked up the nerve, and like I said, I rarely raised my hand, but I raised my hand. And I said, Miss Campbell, I have one of those readers at home. She just blew up, came over, you never take school books home, and grabbed me by the ear and swung me around. And, you know, like I said, I was shy, and I didn't even tell her that Joe Herndon gave it to my mom and dad. She felt horrible when she found out what was really going on there. So that was one of my 1st grade experiences. And by the way, we had to go to Southwood for 1st grade. That was like way on the other end of
the bus
town.
for like 10 hours uphill.
In the snow both ways.
When I think back of 1st grade, I remember that all the abstract things I do in my life now are related to 1st grade because my parents traumatized me. We had a playground that had a little grass off of it and had clover. and bees would be out there, and we somehow developed this thing about stepping on the bees and stunning them, picking them up by their wings. I don't know why. It's just what we did. You know, it's like the first graders out there to take care of this pest control. But I, for Christmas, got a football uniform.
Full football.
Shoulders, pants, helmet, and my mom let me wear it to school on the bus and sit in class in it all day. And I thought it was neat because the bees couldn't sting me.
Were you jealous?
I can remember him sitting in class with the helmet on.
What
But he
kind of
did.
parent lets you do that?
He wore it so the bees couldn't sting him. Like, you know they'd never come through your face mask.
What parent would let you do that? I want to go and ask them, just slap them around and go, what were you thinking? Traumatizing kid.
First grade, we both had the same girlfriend.
Who was that?
Georgia.
I don't remember.
You do?
I remember we had a skid for the parents to come, and I was in the Spanish part where I was the batter, and
I don't remember
they
that.
kept, we practiced it during class, and the umpire would call una bolo or something to say it was a ball. And then I was supposed to look at him and say, un cabaza crazy or something head, I don't know Spanish. Apparently I didn't in the first grade either.
Loser.
But we had this kid. We thought we were so good. And I remember my parents saying, nobody can understand a word of what you said. Encouragers, put him back in the football system. He hasn't got a future in translation. Maybe he could be an athlete.
That's awesome.
So that explains a lot. If you're out there watching now, and you wonder what happened, what's that?
That's awesome.
And then we moved to second grade. Miss Sullivan, I think, fifth grade. Second grade Sullivan. Was it the only year we were separated 1 year, right? And then this.
Second grade, I had Miss Lewis, who was, remember the puppeteer, Sherry Lewis at Atlanta. It was her sister. She was my second grade too. And you had Miss Sullivan. You were in that big class.
Yeah, the big class. They were nice.
Yeah.
Did Sherry come visit your class?
No, she never did.
That was a good year though.
That was about 1959.
Yeah, I don't remember any too much trauma then, but was it the third grade? We decided to ride home with one of us on the bike handles.
That was probably more like fourth or fifth grade. Let me jump, before we do that though, jump back to first grade, because remember Randy Beard was in our class?
Who could forget?
He's the one that used to eat crawdads at the bus stop.
Yeah, down there from the creek in front of the house.
We used to, remember those big old pencils that were as big as your finger? We used to break them till we take the lead out, and you could hold the lead in your fingers, and we had nap time. And Randy Beard, with his head down, colored the entire top of his desk with lead. It was black. Remember that?
She shook him so hard she got tired. I think she went on work comp. Shaking the heck out of him.
He may be dead, because that's the last time I saw him.
He lived down the street, didn't he?
Yeah.
Down below. There on the other side, I remember.
Anyway, that was first grade. I can't think of much else from first grade.
That was
Which
enough.
makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we had brothers that were older that sort of protected us on the buses. That's probably the only reason I could wear that football uniform and survive. And second grade was pretty uneventful. Third grade, though, I had Mrs. Sloan, right?
Yes, Miss Sloan.
And I don't remember a lot about that year, except I thought that we were riding home from school at the end of the year. I thought that was the year
It may have been.
that one of us was on, we only had one bike, and we were coming down that hill, and one of us...
You were sitting on my handlebars.
You decided it'd be a good time to see if you could ride without your hands on the bike.
I think I was trying to be funny, and jerk it like this, and we dumped it.
We dumped it, man. We were laying there paralyzed for days. I don't think our parents missed us at all. Yeah, that was sort of a traumatic time.
We both had Mrs. Gowing in fourth grade.
She was great.
Yeah,
She just take, from a kid's point of view, she just, in the middle of the day, say, let's just go out and play softball. And we just go out and play softball. But she was great. She always talked about